You're super excited. You've attracted new clients. They make progress, but then suddenly quit. Unlock these keys to keep clients eager for more. Welcome to Confident Prosperity, where I believe your knowledge and skills can make a real difference to the lives of others. You started your counseling, coaching practice to help people, right? You want to see relief replace worry on your clients' faces. You know your process works, but you find clients don't return after a few sessions. Not what you want at all. If this keeps happening, very soon you won't have a business. Instead of feeling joy when clients achieve the changes they employed you to help them make, you'll be feeling frustrated, anxious, and worried that you won't be able to stay in practice and have to find a job so you can feed your family. Maybe that's already happening for you. The first key to keeping clients engaged and coming back for more is to help them define a crystal clear goal right at the start. I hear you cry, but Carrie, I already help my clients set goals. Ah, yes. But what sort of goals are they? Do your clients feel that they own the goal? Or is it more your interpretation of what you think they need? You see, a common mistake that many therapists and coaches make is they define the goal and leave it vague. So let's dive into this. Imagine Joe is your client. He tells you he hates meeting new people and wants to feel less anxious. You think, great, goal defined, it's specific, less anxious when meeting new people. Tick. But if we think about this for a minute, I want to be less anxious is vague and wishy-washy. How will you and Joe know when the goal is achieved? How is Joe going to know that he's making progress? How can you measure anxiety? So the very first thing that you need to do is help your clients define a goal that is tangible. But how can you do this with emotionally based goals, such as anxiety? A simple tool that you can use here is scaling. Set a baseline for the level of the emotion that your client wants to change right at the start in that very first session. For instance, you could ask, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you place your anxiety right now, Joe? And then ask, what level would you consider the goal to be achieved? What level of anxiety would you consider the goal to be achieved? And make sure the gap between where they are and where they want to be is realistic, is going to be realistic to be achieved in the time frame that you have working together. This will give you both something that is easy to measure, but that's not all. Wanting to be less anxious is a negative goal. Some would refer to this as a dead person's goal. Think about it. It's easy to stop doing something when you're dead, hey? Here's the thing. When the focus is on what you don't want, on what you want to stop, it has the effect of keeping you focused on precisely the thing that you don't want. In this case for Joe, feeling anxious. If his goal has the words feeling less anxious, then it's going to focus his attention and his unconscious mind on feeling anxious. And experience tells me that we always get more of what we focus on. So instead, to be most effective, goals need to be living goals. And by this, I mean they need to be action focused, oriented towards what your client wants to happen. So ask your client probing questions to help them go deeper beyond that surface level of what they don't want. Get them to think about what they do want, what success in that area, in the area of their concern, looks like for them. Get them to identify what they want to happen, not what they want to stop happening. For instance, with Joe, you could ask, and what will you be doing when you feel less anxious meeting new people? Then form the goal around that. For example, for Joe, the goal could be, I want to smile and feel comfortable as I approach 3 strangers at the next event I attend, starting a conversation with each that lasts a few minutes. See the difference? Really specific, really clear on what he needs to do. That sets his unconscious mind focused on starting a conversation, on engaging with people. Fabulous work. Now your client has a clear and specific goal that is easy to measure. They're focused on what they want to achieve and have a way to see their progress. They feel they own the goal because it's in their language, their words. They continue working with you. You're able to go deeper in session, helping them to recognize why they might be behaving as they have been. And you think that all is going swimmingly. But now you find they're not taking action. Week after week, they start the session telling you all the reasons they were unable to do anything in the past week. You're told that they felt ill, or they had a headache, or they weren't able to go to the event after all because they had to pick their kids up from school, or they couldn't take the action that was agreed because the sky was blue. You name it, they'll come up with the most wacky and way out excuses. Maybe my next book will be the excuses that we make to stop ourselves from doing things. Who knows? As a skilled professional, you know that the only way to achieve change is to take action. But despite your client telling you that they really want this change, they're still not doing what they said they would. In session, you make sure you discuss with your client what they can do. You make sure it's very specific, very narrowly focused. You get their agreement. But each week, when you check in with them at the following session, you hear that nothing has changed. No actions have been taken. You're beginning to get frustrated, and those old worries about the client quitting rear up again. If your client won't take action, they're not going to achieve their goals, right? They may start telling their friends not to bother with coaching or counseling because it doesn't work. They may even post on social media that you're no good as a therapist because nothing's happened, and they're still stuck with the same problem they had when they first met with you. You're worried your reputation will be damaged. It'll become impossible to attract new clients, and you'll have to find a job so you can feed your family. What can you do? Well, the second key to employ that will keep clients engaged and coming back for more so that they do achieve the change they've employed you to help them with is to create a sense of urgency to the changes the client says they want to make. To do this, you need to have a very definite and realistic timeline in the client's goal. A common mistake coaches and therapists make is to set goals with clients that have a relative timeline. For example, the client says, maybe Joe has said he wants to feel less anxious meeting strangers within a few months. The issue with having a relative timeline is that it's movable. What is a few months anyway? When the client looks at their goal, they're going to be thinking, oh, I've got time. It's still a few months away. It won't matter if I don't take these actions this week. And that monster of procrastination rears its head and starts to take hold. There is no urgency So you need to help your client set a specific date for their goal to create that sense of urgency. When a specific date is set, let's just pluck a date in the air, 31st of May, this brings focus to the goal and can create momentum for action. So instead of your client telling themselves that it doesn't matter if they don't complete the homework, they will know that the end date is looming. So they had better sit down and complete the reflections or do the exercise or whatever it was that was agreed as a homework task. A side note here, and this is really important. I know you're thinking, but hang on a minute, Carrie. I don't want to put pressure on my clients or have them seeing themselves as a failure if they don't meet the date of their goal. That would be harmful, and that's not what I'm about. I totally agree. It's not what we're about. So note that setting a specific date in the goal does not mean that you're creating a stick for the client to beat themselves up with if they don't achieve the goal by that date. The date is not set in concrete. The date is not fixed. You need to manage client expectations and let them know this right at the start. Let them know how having a specific date will bring focus so that their unconscious is going to be supporting them in getting into action, but the date can be moved if necessary. It is an arbitrary date, after all. Manage expectations from the outset and you'll have less issues as you're working with your client. You see, the thing is that many clients will be reluctant to put a date on their goals because they don't believe they can actually achieve it. Take Joe. He's thinking in the back of his mind, oh my gosh, this is going to be really hard. There's no way I can do it. I'm not going to put a date on it. So from the outset, even before any actions have been discussed, they've given themselves an easy way out, an excuse not to do anything. Sometimes it can be much easier for people to stay in their current situation with all its distress and anxiety and pain. It can sometimes be easier to stay with what is known than it is to take action and move into the unknown. The unknown can be a really scary place. So it can be much easier for people to stay with what they know, even if it's uncomfortable and maybe even painful. Joe may be thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so difficult. It's going to be so tough. I'm okay, really. It doesn't matter if I don't go to the event and I don't talk with people, if I'm not comfortable meeting strangers. I'll just continue as I am and I'll stay at home and watch the footy on TV. That's fine. I enjoy watching the footy. You see what's going on in their head? Joe is telling himself, making excuses for continuing as he is, even though he really doesn't want to stay watching TV. He does want to get out there and make friends. So as their therapist, you need to know if they have this reluctance. So that can then be worked on during sessions. You can arrange and organize interventions that will help them to address that negative cognition, those negative thoughts. So manage expectations and encourage your clients to set specific dates for their goals to give focus to the work that needs to be done. The reality is it doesn't matter at all if they achieve their goal by the 31st of May or the 4th of June or even the 4th of July. If the goal is correctly formed, if it's tangible, measurable, and has a specific deadline, and they don't achieve it by that deadline, you can guarantee that they will be significantly further forward than they were when they first met you. And that will keep them engaged in the counseling or coaching process and keep them coming back for more because they want to continue making those changes. They will be feeling the benefit. So now your client, Joe, is crystal clear on what he wants. He's got focus to his goal. awesome work. But he's still not taking action. Oh my gosh. Now you start to think, maybe I'm not cut out to be a counselor. Maybe I'm no good as a coach. You're maybe thinking, heck, I must be the worst therapist if Joe still isn't making any progress. My clients are going to stop coming to see me. Joe will quit. They may even lodge a complaint with my industry body, my professional association. I'd better stop doing this or find something else to do. Goodbye, freedom. Goodbye, financial security. Hello, drudge. You're despairing that you'll ever be able to make this work. So let's take a look at the third key to keeping clients coming back, engaged, eager for more, so that they can achieve the change that they employed you to help them make. This key is critical to success. I call it the secret I. And it's vital for success with any change. It doesn't matter whether it's an emotional change or something more tangible. The secret I is all about motivation. You need to help your client understand their why. Now, this goes far beyond helping them define what they want and the benefits of change. The I stands for inspiration. If your client is not inspired by their goal, then when things get tough, it's going to be really easy for them to quit. And we all know that change is challenging. It's not always plain sailing. Things will happen that can throw a spanner in the works and throw your clients off track. Unless they feel inspired by the change they want to make, it's going to be all too easy for them to give up. So to tap into the secret I, you want to help your client dig deeply into the emotion of the change. To do this, help them see clearly what the costs of doing nothing are. Many times, coaches and counselors will focus on the benefits of a change and ignore the consequences of doing nothing. This is a mistake. Psychology teaches us that humans attach more weight to negative outcomes than they do to positives. So it is vital to help your client identify what will happen if they do not achieve their goal. What are the consequences for them as an individual, for their loved ones, for their future, if things stay as they are? Explore every angle of this that you possibly can. For instance, let's go back to Joe, our client with social anxiety. The consequences of not being able to comfortably talk with strangers for Joe could be that he's going to find himself spending a life alone. He may not meet the partner of his dreams. He may miss out on opportunities for friendship and connection. He'll continue to feel an outsider, lost, lonely, afraid. Those are pretty heavy emotions to be feeling, hey? If you can attach such weighty emotions to not taking action, then your client, Joe, is going to eagerly come back each week to your sessions, take the actions that he needs to take so that he will actually make his change and be comfortable talking with strangers, make those new connections and friends. Apply these keys and you will find clients not only staying with you, but going on to achieve the change that they employed you to help them make. You'll feel elated, satisfied, and love the freedom this brings because you know they'll recommend you to their friends, which will save your marketing budget because you'll get referrals. In case you're afraid that you might stuff up on this and are going to feel embarrassed, check out this video next, where I share a few strategies that I use when I stuff up so that embarrassment doesn't stop you from moving forward. I know you can do it, so why the hell not?